It's a long story.
All right, I have the band Lung here with us today. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves and tell us what you do in the band?
My name's Kate. I play electric cello and I sing.
My name's Daisy. I play drums.
All right.
This is the steering wheel of a 2012 Prius.
And together with the car, we are Lung.
Awesome. So why don't you give us a little bit of history behind yourself, since you haven't been on the show before? Just tell us how you got together and bring us up to date. You guys we're talking to you today because you have a brand new album out titled Come Clean Right Now.
Yeah.
That is true. We've been a band since 2016 or so. We like being in a band, so we do it often. We often do band stuff like play shows and put out records and play with other bands that are good and, write songs and whatnot.
Yep.
So, one of the things I wanted to ask you guys are a duo. You're a cello and drums duo. How did getting together? I don't want to say it, it's not necessarily correct to say it unorthodox, but it's not a combo that you usually see in rock bands. How did you guys get together and then decide to just put together the band as just a duo?
So before we started our band, like, we're in the same Cincinnati music scene, and like I had / have a solo project under my name, and it's just looped cello, and I play cello because I can't play any other instrument at all. So and Daisy was in a bunch of different projects and was in a band that I really loved called Babe Rage. So we knew each other through just like the close-knit community in Cincinnati. And then his band Babe Rage was doing a residency at one of the local bars where they played every week, and they decided to bring a different artist to collaborate with for each iteration of the event. And they asked me to play one of the weeks, and like my solo stuff is a lot different. It's a little bit more mellow, but it was really fun to just play heavier music with them. And then a couple months later, like I guess it was just like I was trying to figure out how to do a bunch of foot percussion as a solo artist and struggling, and I was trying to figure out how to make it heavier. And I think I just asked Daisy if he would be up for jamming with me. And once I ended up getting an electric, like it just was a lot of fun. And
Yeah, it became a different thing.
yeah, just became a totally different thing. So yeah.
So as a two-piece duo, did you find that the way that you had been writing music in your other bands and other projects kind of changed? And I come at this from a standpoint of, when I played with, just another artist as a drummer, like my drumming might change to fill up more space because you don't have those other instrumentations to kind of take up that space.
Well, I'm not very good, so I can only play like a few things at once. So I would say it actually probably got even less.
Okay.
Like it was sort of like got even more spacious.
Yeah, I mean, I think like it has nothing really to do with like your skill level, but I think Daisy plays in a really, because like, no, you're a good drummer. Daisy's like super modest, but
right.
No, Daisy's a good drummer.
It's spacious, like a 2012 Toyota Prius.
Well, no,
We like
so
some
like
space.
I mean, basically when you have two instruments, you could either like really fill it up or you could really play with dynamics.
Right.
And Daisy's like a really good player for like, firstly helping, like we totally work on like the form and just make the songs together, but like he's very, very good at like having us do lots of extreme dynamics, and that's sort of the way that we like fill up the room rather than like filling in every last little,
I feel like we do that with cello too. It's like we usually have more stuff. We end up with less stuff than we started with usually. It's a process of negation.
Okay. So, and it sounds like that's a collaborative process, the way that you're kind of orchestrating or like arranging the songs then, when
totally.
We put it together. We put them together.
Okay. Yeah. And And reading on your Bandcamp, so your new Lung's new album is out now. It's titled "Come Clean" right now. You can find it at lung.bandcamp.com. You wrote the new album during the pandemic by trading sound files, which it sounds like is a new method for, probably, and also necessitated by the pandemic, way to write songs for you. How did that affect the overall creation process of Come Clean right now?
I think it made it so that we could be more, like, we could take our time more. Because I think when you're in a practice space working on something together, there's this like immediacy of, oh, we have to come up with this part and we have to do this now and let's finish it. And with the pandemic and being remote, it was like there was no time. Time didn't exist, and there was no goal. Goals didn't exist. So it was just music and like just sending sound files. And so it sort of made it was like a really weird time, still is a weird time, but it made it so that we could really take time to like process a song, like and try it in a lot of different ways, and maybe say yes in places that before we would have just been closed down to ideas. Like I feel like both of us were way more open to thinking outside of our normal box.
I think when you write stuff in a band room, you kind of hear more with your body. And if you write stuff the way we did it, you kind of hear with your brain first and your ears, and then your body second, which isn't neither one. Both have their place, but like these are, brain first, body second songs rather than body first, brain second, I guess.
Yeah, I was talking to another band not so long ago, and they mentioned something I think along the same lines where, when you get into the practice space, you maybe don't have the same acoustics, and things can get blown out, so you don't necessarily get to hear everything. Whereas when they were writing during the pandemic and sharing files back and forth, felt like maybe they could hear more, and then start to deconstruct that a little bit.
Yeah,
totally.
Like you don't have to be concerned with playing while you're writing, which is interesting.
Okay, yeah, because you can go back and kind of digest and take in that part, and then kind of come back with maybe more, I guess, more thought on the notes you're taking back.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, I guess recently, you guys have been able to get back out on the road. I think you were up here in Wisconsin a couple of weeks ago. Were you able to make that trek?
Yeah, we did Mile of Music. It was so much fun in Appleton, Wisconsin. Those were our first shows back, and it was like just 6 shows all in a row after not doing anything forever. And it was such a good time. Yeah, Wisconsin's awesome.
We tried to get Conan to do a show with us in Milwaukee, but he was busy playing the state fair.
Yeah.
Okay. So have you been able to do much else? And how is kind of transitioning maybe back into being able to do shows been for you guys?
Oh, it's terrible. Like, I mean, we were supposed to be on tour for like the last 2 months, and then that tour got canceled
like the week before.
Yeah, so we're like
week before, and so we were out all of our jobs, and like all of
like literally like all of us quit our jobs, and like Rochelle who travels, Rochelle who traveled, my partner who travels with us and does our art, like quit her teaching job to go on tour. The tour didn't happen.
Yep.
So like we've just been scrambling and like playing whatever shows we can.
Yep.
Is, fine. I mean, it is what it is. It happens, but it definitely sucked.
Yeah, it was definitely like another one of those. Oh wow, yeah, 2021, not as bad as 2020, but strangely difficult. I mean, but the shows we've been playing, like, it's been cool, and the fact that like their shows, like, I'm glad that we can actually be doing shows. I'm glad that the vaccines exist, and that like I'm just happy that the music is kind of happening again on any capacity, because it really wasn't at all last year. So
exactly, like it's ultimately it freed us up to do cool stuff. Like we got to play our friends' band's last show in Buffalo, New York.
Yeah,
played a cool show in Missouri. I played our friend's record release show in Toledo, and like that was awesome. Like they're shows with people who really care about music. So that's that's all you can really ask for. Good friends and good music.
No, absolutely. And it sounds like you guys are all over the place then. you know, I'm really sorry to hear that your tour got canceled. And that's one of the things I've been hearing is that it's not there yet, and there's a lot of everything's really fluid in the industry as to what, you know, what's available and how things are going. And, you know, I'm glad to hear you're able to get out and go to other places. When
In
you
true
were
Lung
writing,
fashion, we're touring without touring somehow.
when you were writing come clean right now, was I guess how do the lyrics and the subject matter come to you? Was that at all filtered through the pandemic?
Oh, totally. I mean, it's kind of like filtered through the whole just absolutely strangeness of everything from that time. And I mean that a lot of the songs were written right in March and April when nothing was really known and there was so much sort of uncertainty about what even was happening with the virus. And yeah, and so I mean, I wouldn't say like all of it is like pandemic related, but it's filtered through the time of like the good things felt so good and the bad things felt so bad. I mean, that's how I experienced it, at least, you know, because like you could be grateful for all the little things, but at the same time there was just so much tragedy everywhere you looked. And polarization, and like just, I mean, some of the album has to do with like just the extreme polarization of the United States right now, and like just and how we all are very, very stuck in our ideas, and how you can get a little brainwashed by the media. But anyway, yeah, so it's long answer to your question.
Yes.
No. Absolutely. So yeah, and we're talking with Lung, whose new album is Come Clean right now. You can find them at lung.bandcamp.com, also at Lung the Band. Or you guys are also up, I assume, on all the streaming platforms and
Oh yeah. Yep.
Begrudgingly.
normal places that you can find music these days. So I see you guys, the tour that got canceled is you've got dates out on your Bandcamp page right now. Are all those dates still good?
I think some of those dates are completely wrong.
Yeah, okay. I think those are, honestly, I think when that tour got canceled, we just
something Bandcamp is linked up through Songkick and a few other weird things that I think it didn't take them all down.
Yeah.
The ones if it says Logansport, Davenport, and Chicago this weekend, then it's right.
Okay.
Those are weird.
Yeah, but all the ones in support of Max Sabbath, those are going to be rescheduled for November of 2022.
Okay. So you're a year out for those with Max Sabbath. Okay.
But we're playing down Old South Milwaukee Way in Chicago this weekend.
Okay. So,
I hear they call it Little Milwaukee. Is that accurate?
In South Milwaukee?
I'm kidding. I'm poking fun at Chicago.
Oh, okay. Usually,
is there a South Milwaukee? Does that exist?
It would be nice if they looked at it that way. Usually, it's the other way around.
I mean, that's what I heard. People just tell me it's, you know, they call it Little Milwaukee.
So, your support right now? You're supporting, kind of out there in support of Come Clean right now, and you guys have been able to get back together as a band. Do you think moving forward that the experience of creating songs, like being able to transition from, you know, writing songs in person to writing songs remotely, how do you see that process kind of, I guess, commingling as you go forward as a band and being able to
actually totally commingled? Like, that's a really good word for it, because we have written some songs recently and we kind of do both things. So we like, sometimes an idea will start in the practice room, but then I'll record my end and then I'll send it to Daisy and then we'll send it back and forth again. So I feel like, yeah, it's kind of like at this point we're combining all different strategies for songwriting. So
it's a hybrid model. It's a hybrid model.
Yes.
And does that recording, you know, kind of being able to take that, to, recording at home and then being able to bring that to practice, and potentially being able to do some processing on that, does that affect, like, does that open up new avenues for the way to make the band sound and kind of expand your soundscape?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's parts on the record. For some reason, people don't pick up on this, but there's a couple songs on the record where like we just really liked like a weird drum machine part, just kept it in. Like it's literally the same the demo, and we recorded on top of it. Like there's definitely some like ideas with looping and ideas with like having like a drum machine track going while we're playing that like wouldn't have happened otherwise.
Okay, and those are new, because Kate, you had mentioned you had done looping things with your cello on previous projects. So like is bringing in the drum machine loops, or those kind of those third tracks or multi-tracks into a live setting is new for you?
Now we have a setup where we can loop a drum machine, we can loop vocals, and we can loop cello all separately of each other.
And we can do the vocal and cello loops live.
Yeah, which was kind of an issue because of volume and lack of equipment, basically, that we kind of figured out this interim. So
yeah, and that really expands, I guess, both your record and your live sound then also, and it affects. So looping can be a challenge live. Is that something you guys have had to then practice to actually do?
Yeah, it's hard to do
practice a lot.
Definitely together. Like if it's just a solo project, I can do it no problem, but making sure that it really locks in well enough so that it's steady enough so that the drums can follow it is a job.
And like knowing who's following who at which part, and like one thing that makes it a lot easier that we discovered is having like just a basic in-ear setup, like rather than having like a live PA for practicing. Makes looping a lot easier.
Okay. So, yeah, it gives you that precision.
Right,
totally.
Because it gets a little washy if it's just like in the room, but it's a lot easier that way.
No, absolutely. So thank you for talking to us. We've been chatting with Lung. The band's new album is titled Come Clean Right Now. You can find them at lunglung.bandcamp.com or at lungtheband.com. Thanks again, guys. I really appreciate it. We're going to hear a couple of more songs from Lung's new album, Come Clean Right Now.
Thanks for interviewing us.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
In a 2012 Toyota Prius.